Namaste all, and welcome to our continuing series on Savitri with our beloved Ranga. We are still in the Book of Beginnings, and we are on Canto 3, the Yoga of the Soul's Release, beginning on page 26 after the break. As so he grew into his larger self, humanity framed his movements less and less. A greater being saw a greater world. A fearless will for knowledge dared to erase the lines of safety reason draws, that bar minds soar, souls dive into the infinite. Even his first steps broke our small earth bounds, and loitered in a vaster, freer air. In hands sustained by a transfiguring might, he caught up lightly like a giant's bow, left slumbering in a sealed and secret cave, the powers that sleep unused in man within. He made of miracle a normal act, and turned to a common part of divine works, magnificently natural at this height, efforts that would shatter the strength of mortal hearts, pursued in a royalty of mighty ease, aims too sublime for nature's daily will. The gifts of the Spirit, crowding, came to him. They were his life's pattern and his privilege. A pure perception lent its lucent joy. Its intimate vision waited not to think. It enveloped all nature in a single glance. It looked into the very self of things. Deceived no more by form, he saw the soul. In beings, it knew what lurked to them unknown. It seized the idea in mind, the wish in the heart. It plucked out from gray folds of secrecy the motives which from their own sight men hide. We'll stop there.
Now, Srimdo is describing the yoga of the king, Ashwapati, and this is going to last a long time. There will be several paragraphs on this, and then he comes to the general explanation of spirituality, all the different planes he will be describing. So, Savitri will not enter now into the picture for a fairly long time. He is dealing with Ashwapati. He has told us that Ashwapati is praying to the Divine Mother, and the decision the Divine Mother is going to take birth now as his daughter. She will come down into the physical world, and that will be Savitri. She will be divine, but she will have a humanity as a mask for her body. So, he has already described that he began life as a common man, humanity, he has used the word, and slowly, first he described how man rises from a normal life to a spiritual life, and that is what happened also to Ashwapati. So now, his experiences we will read today. Also, to make our understanding clear, Srimdo speaks of levels. So I have made that quite clear so that for our comprehension it becomes very clear. He also speaks of levels. Okay, level 1, level 2, level 3. So level 1, that is there in even the scriptures also. We have the 5 planes of consciousness, or we have the 7 planes of consciousness. They are all levels. But basically, to understand what is even the spiritual truths or what is Savitri and synthesis, we have to understand that there are basically 3 levels. Level 1 is our normal consciousness. And there are 3 sub-levels. There is matter, there is the vital prana, and there is the mind, our normal mind. So this is level 1. We are in ignorance I keep repeating, but it becomes solid, then it becomes easy to understand what he's saying. So we are in ignorance. We see multiplicity. We see the many and take them to be true, but they are not true. They are only appearances. They are symbolic of the truths behind the forms. Then and at this level, whatever is the reality within us, our soul, we are not aware of the soul, and the soul is trying to come out through many, many lives. It's an adventure, but we are not aware of the soul. We are aware only of the body, mind and life. And we are identified, even worse, we are identified with the body, the vital and the mind. Level 2 is when you are no longer trapped in the body, mind, life, you come out, you enter the spiritual planes of consciousness. So this is at a higher level. This is not the psychic being which is deep inside you, but the spiritual planes of consciousness. You can, in a way, speak of verticality and horizontality. If you go horizontal into yourself, you go into the intra-conscient. Normally, the word spiritual does not apply there, normally. But it's a deep understanding of things. Then when you go to level 2, again according to Sri Aurobindo, there are 4 planes of consciousness in level 2. The higher mind, the illumined mind, the intuitive mind and the overmind. This is level 2, where you are no longer identified with your body, mind, life. Your soul or your consciousness has come out and you are watching everything from the summit. You are seated on the mountain top and you are watching everything below. You are outside your body, mind, life and you are watching. And usually this experience is one of utter calm and peace. Nothing affects you because you are outside your body.
No longer subject to it.
Pardon?
No longer subject to it.
That's right. You are not subject to your body pains, nor your body pleasures, nor your vital pains and pleasures, nor your mind's thoughts. You are free of your thoughts. Thoughts are occurring in the mind. You are watching your thoughts from outside. Mechanically, it's going on like a machine. This is level 2. But it is already a great step forward. You are not subject to suffering anymore. That's a Buddhistic solution. Then but you may not have sufficient power to change your old nature. You have peace, you have liberation, you have calm, you have touches of ananda and touches of power also, but not enough to change and transform your body, mind, life. This is level 2. It's a great spiritual level, but you don't have the power. Yes.
This is what Mother wrote to Jyoti Priya. To you who have realized your soul, she didn't still have the power to change things.
And when you realize your psychic being which is deep inside you, the psychic being may not give you liberation, but it will purify your nature. The wrong movements in the vital will slowly come under control. The mind's thoughts also will be more pure. And even the body changes will be there. Some body changes also occur when the psyche comes forward. It's a big experience. But spiritual planes of consciousness, Sri Aurobindo speaks of the spiritual planes as level 2. And he also calls them sometimes the ideal planes. He uses the word ideal also to specify these 4 planes.
Or real idea also.
The real idea is the 3rd level.
Third level.
Supermind.
Supermind.
That's a real idea.
Yes.
But this is the ideal planes, he calls it. So if we keep this in mind, many things become, and I'll keep referring to level 1, level 2, level 3. Okay? So that we know exactly what Sri Aurobindo is talking about. As so he grew into his larger self. Now clearly, his larger self is level 2. He has come to the spiritual planes of consciousness. Our narrower self is our body, mind, life. The larger self is when you are outside your body and you are aware of the universe in a much, much bigger way. And you are seeing the reality of your own body, mind, life. So larger self. Humanity framed his movements less and less. Now what does he mean by humanity? Humanity, he means the normal man's consciousness. So that is now becoming less and less in him. He is gone to the spiritual planes of consciousness, and there The normal consciousness of man, humanity, is not bothering him. It is becoming less and less and less.
But framed his movement.
Framed, because the body is a frame.
Yes, yes.
The body is a frame. It frames the soul. The soul is inside, trapped inside. It's a triple frame. The frame of the body, the frame of the vital, the frame of the mind. So, a greater being saw a greater world. Very clear. Now his soul has become the greater being. Greater than what it was inside. When the soul was in your body, mind, life, you are ignorant. The soul has forgotten what it is. But when it comes out, it realizes its own reality. It understands what it is. A greater being, and when you are up there, you see a greater world. It's like standing on the foot of a mountain, you don't see much. And when you go to the top of the mountain, you see 10 times more. So that's what he's saying. A greater being saw a greater world, aware of things which he was not aware of earlier. A fearless will for knowledge dared to erase the lines of safety. Reason draws that bar. The lines of safety, reason draws that bar. So the bar is the body, mind, life.
That bar mind sore.
Yeah, that's right. The lines of safety
It's
It's
enjammed. It's an enjammed line because that bar
yes, that's
mind
right. Yeah,
sore.
that's right. Enchampement, they call it, in French. Okay. A fearless will for knowledge dare to erase the lines of safety. Reason draws that bar minds soar, souls dive into the infinite. The three lines go together. It's one sentence.
Yes.
So, he was not fearful at all. Now, his will for knowledge is daring to erase the lines of safety. What are the lines of safety? Body, mind, life.
Yeah.
They are the lines which keep you safe. This is very interesting. Finiteness protects you. If you are exposed to the infinite, you will stand nowhere. You lose your mind, or you will go absolutely topsy-turvy. You won't know what's happening. In fact, that happens in yoga very often. So these are safety. Your body is a limited form, and it is protecting you from the vast power of the universe.
The common cliche, ignorance is bliss.
Yes, that's another context, but yes, that's right. It protects you. So that protection now, he is daring to erase that protection, lines of safety. And what is that? That bar that don't allow mind soar. Souls dive into the infinite. The mind has to soar up into the skies, the spiritual skies, or dive into the
infinite.
Souls dive into the infinite. So, reason is barring that. Okay? The reason draws that bar. Reason draws that bar, mind soar, and souls dive. These lines of safety and reason are not allowing the mind soar and the souls dive into the infinite.
And he capitalizes infinite.
That's right. So, this safety now, Sri Aurobindo does not want, Ashwati does not want. He is wanting, I want to know more and more. I don't want to be limited to the body, mind, life. So, his humanity, the old human nature is slowly becoming less and less, and the higher nature is now manifesting in him. This also we use very often, lower nature and higher nature. So higher nature is a spiritual being, and the lower nature is your limitation of the body, mind, life. Body, life, mind. So even his first steps broke our small earth bounds. Again, he is using the word earth bounds. Your body, mind, life is the earth bounds. The bound is the barrier. So your body, your mind and your life are the barriers that are protecting you. Small earth bounds. But even his first steps into spiritual life broke this identification with the body, mind, life. And loitered in a vaster, freer air. The word loiter is very interesting.
Very, very interesting.
Because It means I am totally free to do what I want. It implies freedom. Normally you say loiter is without an aim, and you are just loitering about. It's got a slight negative connotation.
Slightly pejorative.
Yeah, pejorative.
Yes,
That's
yes.
right. So,
But not here.
not here.
No.
Because here it implies freedom.
Yes.
Total freedom from all
Yes.
bounds. Very interesting word. Okay, so loitered in a vaster, freer air, in hands sustained by a transfiguring might, he caught up lightly like a giant's bow, left slumbering in the sealed and secret cave, the powers that sleep unused in man within. So, in man, the divine is there already, so all in him, there is already latent in him consciousness, power, ananda, everything is there in him. But it has not been used for a long time. From your earliest evolution, right up to where you are now, they have been lying in you unused. So now he says, he caught up lightly like a giant's bow. Okay. And these powers left slumbering. So with his hands, he is sustaining by the transfiguring might, the power in him that is there, he is doing this. Okay. The powers that sleep unused in man within. What he did now, he is describing. He, Ashwapati, made of miracle a normal act. Now that's also very interesting, because what are miracles here are the unusual events that happen that seem to contradict the laws of this physical world. That's a miracle. That's a miracle. But in the other fields, in the other worlds, these are not miracles anymore. They are the laws that operate in that world. So Sri Aurobindo says very clearly, there is no miracle. They are only laws from one world coming down into another world, and they seem to be incongruous. They seem to be incompatible with the laws of this world. Then it seems to be a miracle. For instance, if you levitate, it contradicts the law of gravitation. It is a miracle for you. But it's not a miracle, because you've changed the conditions and the laws of the another world have come in here, and you are applying that. Because there is always a mixture of all these worlds. These worlds are not absolutely hermetically sealed with each other. They are all plunging one into the other. They are distinct worlds, but they are also all plunging into each other.
We will see that certainly in Book 2.
Pardon?
We will see those worlds in Book 2 and the interaction.
Yes, that's right. This is a well-known thing. Even in our Indian scriptures we have that, in fact, if you divide the entire planes of existence from the highest to the lowest, let's say you divide it into 5, because that's all over the world they do that. Ether, the subtlest of substance; air, slightly thicker substance; ether, air, fire, water, earth. So these, if you look at the earth element, you will see that only half of the earth substance is there, quarter substance of fire, quarter substance of air, quarter substance of this. This is how the Indian philosophy describes it. If you look at fire, half of it is fire, that's the main thing, but quarter of each other. So this is what it means, it's plunging. In other words, to put it very bluntly, in matter the highest divine is also there. And in the divine, the potentiality of matter is there. So you can keep this in mind so that you understand what he's saying. So miracle. So he's saying, he made of miracle the normal act. In other words, what seems to be a miracle here, he has gone to a place where it is normal. It suggests that he has risen in consciousness to another plane. There is not a miracle anymore. Okay, that's what he's meaning. And turned to a common part of divine works, magnificently natural at this height. There you are. So at that height, it becomes magnificently natural. It's not a miracle anymore. That's what he means. It's suggestion of his going into the higher planes of consciousness, which would be there the laws. In the physical world, these laws would be miracles. That's what he's saying. So, he made a miracle and turned to a common part of divine works, magnificently natural at this height, efforts that would shatter the strength of mortal hearts. He is now capable of making an effort that is impossible for normal human beings. Because if you make that effort, it will shatter you. And this line is very interesting, even physical. I'll give you an example, very interesting. There was this boy, I don't know if he's still living. His name is Suhash. Okay, he was a good athlete. He was Narad nephew, and he was a good sportsman. So one day when he was throwing the javelin, he called mother very intensely and threw that javelin, and he made a record. But it shattered his outer nature. He lost his mind. Oh. That's what Swami is saying. Our effort has to remain in safe bounds. If you go beyond that and you invite the powers to come for which you are not yet ready, it will shatter you. So that's the thing. That's why he's talking of safety and bounds and the protection that this finiteness gives you. Okay, so and turn to a common part of divine works, magnificently natural at this height, efforts that would shatter the strength of mortal hearts. Pursued. So he is not repeating he. He made, he turned, he pursued in a royalty of mighty ease. Now look at that. The mighty ease, which should not be, it should be a mighty effort for others, but he's a king now in that kingdom. Royalty of mighty ease. With great ease he could do it. Aims too sublime for nature's daily will. So again, he pursued aims too sublime for nature's daily will. Nature's daily will, level 1. Nature's daily will. Your will, my will are all daily will in the practical world at the lowest level.
But he capitalizes nature.
Yeah, because nature is doing all the work. Universal nature is doing the work in you. You are not doing the work. It's nature that is doing. Okay, so aims to sublime for nature's daily will. The gifts of the Spirit crowding came to him. They were his life's pattern and his privilege. Full stop. So, the gifts of the Spirit. What are the gifts of the Spirit? Knowledge, power, ananda, peace, liberty. These are the sense of infinity, release. So these gifts came to him. Okay, so the gifts of the Spirit, crowding came to him. They were his life's pattern. They became the normal life, his normal life. His normal life in level 1 is absolutely different. Now he in the spiritual planes of consciousness, these miraculous things are now his pattern and his privilege. A pure perception lent its lucent joy. Look at the alliteration also, just see. A pure perception lent its lucent joy. What is lucent? Lucent is a glow, a mild glow, or it's a giving off of light. That's a lucent. So his joy is lucent. It's full of light. They were his life, a pure perception. And what the pure perception?
Yeah.
Seeing the reality is the pure perception.
Untainted.
Yeah. Okay. A pure perception lent its lucent joy. Its intimate vision waited not to think. That means to say again, there was no thought process in him at all. It has been replaced by sight. That's what happens in this level 2. When you are in level 2, you don't think anymore. The mind has gone silent. You are in the silent consciousness. The thoughts are occurring below in your old mind and you are watching those. That's happening still. But you are absolutely in a consciousness which is absolutely only seeing. Sight replaces thinking. So, intimate vision waited not to think. It enveloped all nature in a single glance, the total sight. It looked into the very self of things, the very sense of things, the divine presence in everything. For man, it will be the soul. For the others, it will be for animals also, the divine presence, which is much more vague and much more obscure, but it is there everywhere. So he could see all that. It looked into the very self of things. Deceived no more by form, he saw the soul. So the second line is explaining what is meant by the self of things. Deceived no more by form. The form is your body, mind, life. It's not deceiving him anymore. He is seeing directly the soul. Okay. That's what mother would do. When you came to her on your birthday or whatever reason, she would look through your eyes. It's the eyes that are the doorways to the soul. She would look and peer into your eyes and go and touch your soul and know exactly what your condition is. That's what she would do. She has said that very clearly, that she would look through the eyes and see the interior of the person and see whether the psyche is awakened or not. Deceived no more by form, he saw the soul. Okay. Sometimes the alliteration is limited only to 2 words, and sometimes it goes into 3 words. So here you have saw the soul, okay. But earlier, a pure perception lent its lucent joy. Sometimes does that even in prose.
Yes.
But he is doing that in poetry here. In beings, it knew what lurked to them unknown. Now that's interesting, because I am not aware of my soul. You may be aware or you may not be aware, but we are not aware of so many things within ourselves. But he could see everything that we can't see within ourselves.
Just like mother.
Yes, exactly. In beings, it knew what lurked to them unknown.
Lurked again.
Huh?
Lurked again.
Yeah, lurk, hiding. Okay, it's hiding, lurk. Okay. It sees the idea in mind, the wish in the heart. It could see what the person was, what ideas he had in his mind, or what he wanted to do in his heart, he could see. Okay. It seized. It plucked out from grey folds of secrecy the motives which from their own sight men hide. Very often we don't know our own motives, but there is a suggestion from inside and there is a motive, and you do an act. And you are not always fully aware of the motive within you, but he could see the motive, what you are doing. That's what he's saying. Now we have to read the next passage.
He felt the beating life in other men invade him with their happiness and their grief, their love, their anger, their unspoken hopes, entered in currents or in pouring waves into the immobile ocean of his calm. He heard the inspired sound of his own thoughts re-echoed in the vaults of other minds. The world's thought streams traveled into his ken. His inner self grew near to other selves and bore a kinship's weight, a common tie, yet stood untouched, king of itself, alone. A magical accord, quickened and attuned to ethereal symphonies, the old earthy strings. It raised the servitors of mind and life to be happy partners in the soul's response. Tissue and nerve were turned to sensitive chords, records of luster and ecstasy. It made the body's means the spirit's acolytes.
So, full of images.
Very powerful.
Full of images. We'll discuss the images and what these magnificent images. Okay. He felt the beating life in other men invade him with their happiness and their grief. Perfect description of the cosmic consciousness. So he is able to see others' feelings and he is also able to see others' grief. So, Srimda has a very interesting phrase where if you are in the cosmic consciousness, the whole universe is within you. And you are also everybody. There are two types of cosmic consciousnesses. One is the universe is within you. And the other is you are in everything. The apprehending and the comprehending consciousness, which he explains in this Life Divine. Okay? So, you in everything and everything in you.
So, is he in the overmental or touching the supramental
You
consciousness?
can get, no, not yet the supermind.
Not
Even
yet,
in the overmind is enough for that.
Overmind.
Of course, it will be very present in the supermind.
Yes.
But even in the overmind, you can have this cosmic. You can have the cosmic consciousness even in the higher mind. In the lowest of the planes of level 2.
Yes.
That's why I spoke about level 2. Even in the higher mind, you can have the cosmic consciousness. It's possible. So, and the cosmic consciousness, what it means is, I can see other people's thoughts, I can feel their emotions, I can also feel their grief and all. In fact, it goes to such an extent that you identify yourself with other people's feelings and experiences also. Sometimes mother says in agenda, she says that I felt feverish, and then later on I realized that I had identified with somebody else who had fever. It was not my fever. She says that. So that's what it happens. In fact, it happened once with mother also. I am going into detail about the cosmic consciousness. Very clearly, these two lines of the cosmic consciousness. You can be in the cosmic consciousness to such an extent that other people's thoughts you will see, other people's vital emotions you will see, even the subtle physical will be identified with others. The famous example of the animal being whipped, and the yogi feels the whip marks on his own back. It can even go to that extent. Okay. There is also the famous case of, when I read about it, I had heard that there are quite a few cases in Germany also. The what are called the stigmata. People, they identify with Christ, and wherever he was nailed to the cross,
yes.
Bleeding occurs in those
Stigmata,
places.
yes.
Stigmata. So that's the cosmic consciousness. And it does happen. Without a wound, the blood comes out. And I did not believe this when I said, how can it be that there can be blood oozing out when there is no wound? But then later on I came across a documentary in which they said that there are very rare diseases. For instance, a man will have no hair at all on him. It's a very strange and unusual case, but it can happen. Another case is this one, spontaneous bleeding. For some time, there will be bleeding, no wound, but the body will bleed. After some time, it stops.
But they will call it an illness.
Yes, it's an illness. I'm talking of the other thing. I'm telling you that it occurs in the cosmic consciousness when people identify themselves with Christ. That can happen. Mm-hmm. So I thought that how is it possible?
Yeah.
But I'm telling you that it is possible. Biologically, it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So this is the cosmic consciousness. So he's saying, he felt the beating life in other men invade him with their happiness and their grief. He says that he can feel, in the cosmic consciousness, you will feel the exhilaration of the tiger jumping on the deer to eat it. And you will feel the pain of the deer also you will feel. So if cosmic consciousness is going to give you the grief of everybody, what's the point? So we should make clear that cosmic consciousness has got 3 levels. Level 1, yes, the whippings of animals will appear on your back. It happened once or twice. You will identify yourself with, and the marks will come on your body. You will suffer that. Second level of the cosmic consciousness, you will feel all these pains, but you are not affected. You are not affected at all. You are in peace and calm. The third level, you will even have the power to heal the grief of others. So these are the 3 levels of the cosmic consciousness. But the first level, you will identify yourself fully with mind, with vital, and the body, even the body. Okay? I gave you one example of the mother. She said about the fever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she thought that it's her fever. She thought that I am getting the fever. Later on, she realized that it was she had identified with somebody else. Okay, so another famous example is there of mother's cosmic consciousness. There was a Swiss person. She had come and she was teaching our girls, combined drills you do, which are now turned into mass drill, which we do. 300 people doing the same thing. But 5 or 6 girls doing the same thing. She had come and she was teaching those things in the playground. So that lady was one day in the Golconda, and in the evening, it was evening time, mother was in the playground. And she was not well. The Swiss lady, not Swiss, she was Swedish. And she was vomiting. Mother had the same corresponding experience in the captain's room. And later on she came to know that she mentioned it. Cosmic consciousness. You are identifying yourself with that. Okay, so that first 2 lines. He felt the beating life in other men invade him with their happiness and their grief, their love, their anger, their unspoken hopes, entered in currents or in pouring waves. Now this is again another thing. It can enter in currents or in pouring waves. Ramakrishna has a place where he describes the action of this power coming into you. Okay? And that's why I'm mentioning, because he's simply saying currents or pouring in waves. So he describes this movement, the power or the ananda coming into you. He says it can be like ants crawling on you. You'll feel that. Okay? Or he says that it could be like a monkey jumping from tree to tree. A staccato movement. It can come like that. So there are so many. Srimati is mentioning here only 2. Okay? He is saying in currents or in pouring waves. Okay? So, into the immobile ocean of his calm. So, other people's love, anger, all these things are entering into him in currents or in waves, and he himself is the immobile ocean of his calm. This is again a image from the Gita. Okay? When the image is, when a river enters into the ocean, it becomes the ocean. It doesn't have its individuality anymore, and the ocean is not bothered at all about it. It just becomes part of it. So when other people's feelings come pouring or into waves, but he remains absolutely calm, like the immobile ocean of his calm. So this is the second level of the cosmic consciousness, where you are not affected at all. You are experiencing other people's thoughts, feelings, but you are absolutely untouched. So, how detailed he has gone into each one. See, that's why. So interesting. Into the immobile ocean of his calm. He heard the inspired sound of his own thoughts. Now, that's interesting. He's saying his own thoughts also inspired sound. I am admitting frankly that I don't understand the sound of thoughts. What inspired sound of thought? Inspired, okay. The thoughts can be inspired. But why the sound? I'm not sure. Okay? It's very interesting if someone has...
I see it as a movement.
Maybe he is meaning vibrations.
Yeah, vibration. Exactly.
That is possible.
That's it.
The inspired vibrations of his own thoughts re-echoed in the vault of others' minds. Until now he has been speaking of other people's coming into him. Now he is saying his own thoughts are going into others. Okay? He is saying he heard the inspired sound of his own thoughts re-echoed in the vault of others' minds. What's a vault? A vault is a strong room, as in a bank. Okay? It's very thick walls with a solidly reinforced door. This is a vault. Okay. Now he is comparing the mind of others to a vault. Or the vault also can be an underground room in a church where they bury dead. That also is a vault.
And we often talked about Churchill, how he felt that there was a force helping him.
Yes.
His own words
Yes.
were very often close to Sri Aurobindo's words.
Yes. Particularly that speech where he says, we shall never surrender.
Yes.
We shall fight on the beaches,
Yes.
we shall fight in the sea, we shall fight in the air, but we will never surrender. That was an inspiring speech, fantastic speech. He made a statement in Parliament that I can feel a power guiding us, guiding. He said that. That's why Sriramda's thoughts are entering into Churchill, exactly. Okay, so he heard. So first his description was other people's feelings and thoughts are coming into him. Now he's saying that he has the power to also put his own thoughts into other people's minds. It reminds me of his experience with his Tamil teacher. He had himself the silent mind, so he gave the silent mind to his Tamil teacher. But he couldn't take it, he was not ready. Okay, he came back to Sriramda and told him, Sir, I have become an idiot. I am unable to think. So Sriramda replied, he said, I let him lose his miraculously acquired silent mind because he wasn't ready for it. And he wrote to somebody that he said he had become an idiot, but he had not become an idiot. He was an idiot to begin with. In a letter he writes that. Okay, so see, he heard the inspired sound of his own thoughts re-echoed in the vault of others' minds. The world's thought streams travelled into his ken. Okay, all these thoughts are coming into his mind. The world's thought streams travelled into his ken. This is in level 1, matter, universal prana, universal mind. So that's what he's saying. The world's thoughts streams travelled into his ken, into his being. His inner self grew near to other selves and bore a kinship's weight, a common tie. He is identifying himself with others, kinship, okay, and bore a kinship's weight, a common tie, yet stood untouched, king of itself alone. This is exactly what we are speaking about, the second level of the cosmic consciousness. See, very clear. His inner self grew near to other selves and bore the kingship's weight. He is feeling the problem of others as his own. It's a weight, okay, and a common tie. Other people's problems, in fact, that's how the guru helps the sadhak. He identifies with him, sees his problem, and that problem is now his, and he has the power to change that. So that's what he does. But whether the sadhak can keep that power is another matter. Mother says very often about her husband who came here, what is his name?
How she...
Paul Richard. Paul Richard. He was always, his vital was always getting dirty, okay? And she used to clean him up. Again and again she used to do that, and again he used to become dirty.
Let it come
again.
back.
That's what it is. And bore a kingship weight, a common tie, yet stood untouched, king of itself alone. So he is feeling the pain of others and the problems of others, but he himself is not affected at all. A magical, now, look at the images now. A magical accord, quickened and attuned. Okay? Note the word accord and attuned. I read further. I'll read the whole passage
Yes.
because of the image. To ethereal symphonies, the old earthly strings, it raised the servitors of mind and life to be happy partners in the soul's response. Tissue and nerve were turned to sensitive chords. So, this is the image that he is using. Note, accord, attuned, symphonies, earthly strings, sensitive chords. He is using the image of the musical instruments which is in tune with each other. Okay, so a magical accord, quickened and attuned. Now, the word quickened is interesting. It has got several meanings. And in the old, it also means to make faster, make
Speed
it
it
quicker.
up. Speeding up.
Yeah,
Yes.
speeding up. That also is there. But it also means to show signs of life. It's used for a pregnant woman when the fetus starts moving. She feels the movement inside. So she feels the quickening of life within her stomach. It's used in that sense also. So he is feeling the signs of life are coming. So a magical accord quickened and attuned. It adjusted itself to ethereal symphonies.
I almost see attuned here, almost musical also.
Yes, of course.
And attuned
Yes.
to these ethereal symphonies.
It's part of the image.
Yes.
Accord also. Accord is harmonizing.
Yes.
So accord, attuned, symphonies, earthy, strings, and finally sensitive chords.
Right.
So there is the image.
Yes.
Perfect harmony.
Yeah.
Okay. And now the meaning also we can see. Okay. And what's it doing? The ethereal symphonies are being attuned to old earthy strings, earthy, of the earth. In other words, the power of the higher levels is attuning itself to the earth strings, body, mind, life.
And it's a magical accord
Yes,
that's doing
it's magical. In fact, your body, mind, life has become sensitive enough now to receive these powers into the body. Later on, it becomes even clearer. It raised the servitors of mind and life to be happy partners in the soul's response. Now, he is talking of the servitors of mind and life. Which are the servitors of mind and life? Tissue and nerve.
Yeah.
Tissue and nerves are the servitors of mind and life. Because if the nerves are not there, you will not feel the pain or the pleasure. So they are servants of mind and life. So, and what? They have become happy partners in the soul's response. And therefore they were turned to sensitive chords. You can just work out the image for yourself and see what he's saying. Okay? So, records of luster and ecstasy. The sensitive chords are the records of luster and ecstasy. Luster is light and ecstasy is ananda. Okay? So, your body, mind, life, tissue and nerve also is being able to experience light and ananda. The body is responding. It made the body's means the spirit's acolytes. Very clear.
There we are.
Acolyte is an apprentice.
Yes.
An apprentice who is not yet, or a student who is just beginning his life. So, the body's means, body, mind, life, tissue and nerve became the students or the apprentices of the spiritual planes.
Very good.
Beautiful.
Yes. Namaste all.